Sure. So I've been meditating about every day for about 2 years now. So it started with a bit of an existential crisis in my 20s, like a quarter life crisis, I would say. And it was
what triggered the quarter life crisis?
So it was, I mean, I think everybody has that time in their life where their mortality just fucking like hits them. And you're like, I'm going to die someday. Like, what is the meaning of this? What am I going to do with my life? Am I doing the right thing? Mm-hmm. It was, I mean, you couldn't pay me to go back to my 20s. I'm not very far into my 30s, but like the fucking...
Old man.
Yeah. Yeah. You're what, in your mid 20s?
Yeah, I will be 25 in May.
Nice. So, yeah, I was about your age when it started. So I was just nearing the end of college, and I just did not have my life together. It was a very dark period. So, and it was to the point where like the slightest bit of agitation or anything would just spiral me into like the worst kind of nihilism. And I was mildly suicidal. I wasn't, I didn't have any...
Maybe not acting on it, but thinking about it.
Yeah, definitely like thinking about it. And like it was, and people who are listening to this who have anxiety or had dealt with depression know what it's like to be a prisoner of your own mind. And it's the worst.
Totally.
It's hell.
It's like a thought loop that you're in, and it's a maze with no exit.
Yeah.
I mean, if you genuinely feel trapped.
Yeah.
Because I've been there too. I've been in that depressive state. And I've also been in a microcosm of that feeling in a trip.
Yeah.
Where it was like, I was in basically what depression feels like, but like cranked up the dial all the way. And even though it was temporary, it was like you could feel the sense of hopelessness and the sense of like, there's no exit.
There's no way out. Exactly right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, at work there was called a mindfulness challenge. So like I said, my therapist recommended it, and there's an ABC reporter named Dan Harris who has a book called 10% Happier, and he has a second book called Meditation for Fidgety Skeptics, which I've read both, and they're both very good. So, and he has a really good way of kind of translating the lingo of meditation for a Western audience and like really getting them into it. And he's really, really funny and really like charismatic, and he's just he is great. So I would highly recommend both of his books. And then he has an app called 10% Happier. So that's been kind of my workhorse since. So I do the Sam Harris Sam Harris Waking Up app as well. So I've been kind of interspersing that into my practice too.
Yeah.
So I started doing that, and then it took probably a little over a year to like fully like break away from my mind. Mm-hmm. So the way that I describe meditation to somebody who doesn't know or like is skeptical of meditation is it just kind of cuts through all the bullshit of your mind. Mm-hmm. All the bullshit left over from natural selection of like when we needed to like run away from predators and and
fight
all
or flight
stuff.
Yeah. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a tiger chasing you and like stage fright.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It feels very much the same.
It feels basically like chemically.
Yeah.
There's no difference. The only difference is the physical situation that you're in, but your mind doesn't care about the physical situation as much as it cares about how it feels.
Yeah.
You know, if it feels a certain way, then it's going to feel that way, and it doesn't matter what those circumstances are on the outside.
Yeah.
That's when you realize your inner world so largely dictates the outer world. And the cliche of perception is reality.
Yeah.
Like there's a deeper understanding in that there's a reason why it's cliche. It's because it's so true that it's been said so many times it's almost lost its meaning by people saying it. But really your inner world will allow you to perceive different things that happen in the world however you want to paint it. You get to paint with your paintbrush of perception and being like, I want to see this way. And some things are true in the way that you're seeing them, and then other things are maybe not true.
Yeah.
But if it's useful to you and it's not lying to yourself, there's a difference between there's a difference between like straight up lying to yourself, like delusion, and then lying to yourself in a sense that it's a useful strategy that will get you where you need to be.
Totally.
You know, and I think there's a balance of how you should lie to yourself. Right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to do it anyway. You might as well have like the balance of how you're going to do it.
Yeah. It grants you gradual distance from your head, from your mind. So it kind of centers you and solidifies you in conscious awareness. So the benefits of having distance from your mind are like you see those thought patterns clearly, you can know how to get away from the ones that aren't useful, and it seems like a superpower sometimes.
It does.
So like it can literally be the difference between being angry all day and being angry for 10 seconds. So like if you have that distance from it and you see like what thought patterns, like where the thought patterns are coming from and not just getting lost in it.
Yes.
So you get like the space around it.
It's like Aikido where you redirect the energy. So somebody puts a punch towards you and you redirect their momentum to like grab their arm and then have them like fall onto the ground through that, right? Yeah. You're basically doing that with your thoughts. It's like mental jujitsu, you know, where you're just kind of like you're tussling with them. And when you're able to take the energy out of the punches, it makes the punches feel like they're just thrown at the air. You know, it's just like a paper fan, just hitting you. Yeah, like nothing.
Yeah. So it's what I found is whenever the punch of anger or anxiety hits, is it kind of what it does is it allows you to feel what those sensations feel like. Without having any, basically observing them non-judgmentally. So like not labeling them. So like and I've noticed that just noticing those thought patterns and labeling it for what it is and saying in your like inner monologue, what's really helped me is like there's anger present in the body. There's like irritation or whatever.
Even the words you're choosing.
Just doing that cuts the power it has over you in half. I mean, that's my experience, but yeah, that's one thing that's definitely helped me a lot.
That's a good strategy too, because you know, when you say I'm doing this or I'm feeling this, you're automatically associating that with your personality and your ego. You're like identifying as these things. But those things really do not make up who you are. Who you are at your core, although your thoughts and your actions like do make it up. I mean, it ultimately makes you who you are, is like the things you end up doing and the things you like to think about. But there are differences between the types of things you think about and then the specific thoughts that you're thinking. You know, the types that I like to think about, you know, consciousness, mindfulness, space, video games, whatever. And all of that together does make up my personality, right? But my like thoughts of, oh, that's not good enough, or oh, what, like that's not me. That's just a brain thing. That
I would say is your ego trying to protect itself or trying to like find a threat.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes, a threat to neutralize.
Right.
Because we're always looking for the thing that's going to cause us danger or harm because that's what we were programmed to do.
We're hardwired for that.
We are hardwired. We're monkeys. And we were in a jungle and we had to worry about the fucking tiger coming. But that tiger's now no longer there. We live in these safe, relatively safe cities and, you know, a relatively safe system and civilization. And so now the new threats are all like social and mental. And so like the new threats that we have are, is my Instagram post going to get enough likes, or am I going to get enough shares, or all this like superficial bullshit, but it actually does hijack the reward system that we have in our brains, you know, dopamine hits and releasing endorphins. And I mean, it really can affect people's physical state on top of the mental state.
Totally.
And when you realize that those things are all interconnected, your physical and your mental, like you can't just do one, you know, oh, I go to the gym, but I don't ever control my mind at all.
Yeah, it's like it's really like going to the gym for your mind. It's building a mental defense. So when like stuff happens, either the intensity and the frequency of them will be diminished.
Yes.
And like I said, it can be the difference between, you know, just getting angry, letting that feeling wash over you, and then it's over. So, but if you're just constantly ruminating, like, why do you fucking say that?
Yeah, because every time you bring it up, you actually re-engage the anger. I know Sam Harris has talked about this on a podcast before, where he said, he's like, how long are you actually mad? Versus how long are you mad because you keep thinking about it and you keep re-triggering yourself.
He calls it because he's a scientist, he's like, if you just let it live out its half-life, if you just have the thought, notice it non-judgmentally, just let it happen, because it's all natural. Emotions are like weather.
Yes.
They come and go. It's totally natural. So what's also helped for me is it's totally natural to feel this way. Like everything.
It's totally natural. Totally natural. Climate change is totally normal. I want some good old-fashioned global warming for this cold Chicago.
Yeah, we could use it. But if the physiological responses with the thoughts arise, whether or not, I mean, like if it's, and this is one of the things that on my most recent mushroom trip I found, is that everything is fucking natural. Like everybody's nature versus nurture, like every event that led to the changing of their mind, to the changing of their psyche, to the solidification of the patterns is all the way that it is and the way that it's supposed to be. Everything just is.
It's all playing out as exactly as it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And although some things feel like, man, what the fuck? Donald Trump's president? Or, you know, like the little things like that where you're like, how the fuck? Nah, man, it's all according to plan.
Yeah.
Like this is all going the way it's going to go.
All of the events that led up to that, there's no other way that it could have happened.
Yeah.
So like,
by definition of it happening.
And so much of life is out of your control as it is. And the suffering and the discomfort and the dissatisfaction is you resisting it.
Yes.
So if you can allow those emotions or feelings or whatever to just exist in your body without resisting them, that the psychological relief you can get from that is huge.
It's huge.